Hi, this is Mr. Cho, and today we'll be learning about Chapter 6, Model of Cells. So today we are learning about 6.3, Forming a Multicellular Organism, okay, as well as 6.4, Division of Labor. So at the end of this section, you should be able to answer the following questions. How are cells organized into tissues, organs, organ systems, and multicellular organisms? Okay, so let's just say that this lady is suffering from stomach cancer, so it's actually quite a serious cancer because the cells in her stomach wall divide too frequently, and this affects the digestion of food in the stomach. Okay, so the stomach has the function of breaking down proteins, right? Because it produces enzymes and hydrochloric acid. But the problem is that if it divides too quickly, then it can cause cancer. Okay, so cells can divide and they can multiply, and that is how we get a multicellular organism. Okay, so the stomach together with the other organs make up the digestive system, and the organs of the digestive system work together to break down nutrients in food. Okay, so we have learned that unicellular, which means one cell, organisms are made up of only one cell. But multicellular organisms are made up of many different types of cells. So by studying the cells, we can understand how a multicellular organism is formed. Okay, so this here is called the Valonia ventricosa. Alright, it's called the bubble algae. The interesting thing about this is that it's the largest unicellular organism that can be seen without a microscope. So actually this whole thing is just a very big cell, single cell. Okay, it's a single cell unicellular organism. Okay, this is another unicellular organism called paramecium that feeds on other bacteria. But when we zoom out a little bit, we start to see things like the fish. A fish is a multicellular organism. Okay, there are cells that make up the eye, there are cells that make up the fins, the gills. These are all, the whole fish is made up of many cells that are working together. Okay, a lettuce is a plant, and plants are also multicellular organisms. Right? Each part of the plant is made up of many cells. So the roots are made up of many cells. The leaves are made up of many cells. The stem is also made up of many cells. So all in all, you have a multicellular plant. And over here is a kind of mole. So this is called penicillin, and it is a multicellular organism which produces the antibiotic penicillin. Okay, the story of how this was found is very interesting. Maybe one day we'll get to go through the story. Okay, so let's not watch this, but let's talk about multicellular organisms such as humans that are made up of many organized parts. Okay, and each part has its own structure and function. So cells with specific functions are organized into tissues. Then tissues are in turn organized into grouped into organs. Organs are then grouped into organ systems. Okay, then all the organ systems come together to form a multicellular organism. Okay, so let's go through that again. All right. So we start with cells, then they become tissues, then they become organs, then we get organ systems. Okay, so let's give an example. For example, we have heart muscle cells, which is a single heart muscle cell which contracts and relaxes rhythmically. So our heart beats in rhythm, right? If our heart is not beating properly, then it'll be bad for our health. So our heart beats in rhythm, and we have one single heart muscle cell. But when we have cells that are performing similar functions that are grouped together, this will then form a tissue. So now we have a heart muscle tissue. So all this here, you can see is the nucleus, nucleus, nucleus. So each of them is one cell. We have many of them, many of these heart muscle cells together. So we form a heart muscle tissue. And this tissue, likewise, also contracts and relaxes rhythmically at a steady rate. So we got cells that come to group together from tissues. Then from tissues, we form an organ. So different types of tissue that work together to perform a function form an organ. So for example, in the heart, we have heart muscle tissues, right? All these are the heart muscle tissues, along with the blood vessels. So if you can see carefully, there's actually some blood vessels going through the heart. These are called the veins and the arteries. We also have nerve tissue. Okay, so this is how we can feel things, and connective tissue. So the outer layer is actually a connective tissue which holds the heart together. So each of these are tissues performing a function together. Okay, so what is their function? It is to collectively form an organ called the heart. And the heart pumps oxygen-rich blood to all the cells in the body. So we have recap. What was the first thing? It was cells. Then we have tissue. Then we have organs. So what is after organs? After organs, we have organ system. So when several organs with related functions work together for a specialized purpose as an organ system. For example, the circulatory system. The heart, the arteries, and the veins work together to transport blood to all parts of the body. So over here, we can see the heart, right? This, I believe, is connecting to the lungs. And over here, you can see these are your arteries in red, which sends our oxygen-rich blood to the body. And here, we have the veins, which is where we collect the oxygen, the blood that has already used up the oxygen. So they come back through the veins, enter the heart, then go to the lungs somewhere here, come back to the heart, then it's ready to go out to the body again. Okay, so that is called the circulatory system. Okay, so after the organ systems, right, we get a organism. Okay, so all living things, right, humans, we are an organism, right? Animals, they are an organism. So the human body, right, the circulatory system works with the other organ systems to ensure that the human body functions properly. Okay, so besides the circulatory system, we have other systems such as the digestive system, we have the skeletal system, right, the nervous system, all these systems working together to have a functional human body. Okay, let's talk about an example using plants also. So most cells in multicellular organisms have a specific function. Right, for example, these regularly shaped plant cells. And these cells, the plant cells, are densely packed with chloroplasts. Do you remember what is inside the chloroplast? So we have learned before that the chloroplast is an organelle found inside plant cells, especially those in the leaves. Just side note, usually you don't find so much chloroplast in the roots because they're underground and there's no sunlight there, so it doesn't really make sense for chloroplasts to be in the roots. But in the leaves, we have a lot of chloroplasts. Okay, so found mainly in the upper layer of the leaves. And the chloroplast contains a pigment called, what was it called? Let me write it out. Okay, so our chloroplast contains a pigment called chlorophyll, which is necessary, that's very wrong, for the process called photosynthesis. Okay, so these cells that are performing similar functions then group together to form tissues. For example, a leaf tissue. And these regularly shaped cells are grouped together in neat rows to form a type of tissue, of leaf tissue. So this leaf tissue makes food through photosynthesis. So you see the leaves of the tree, right? They are very big, right? And they are quite green. The whole reason is because they want to conduct photosynthesis. Then different types of tissue that work together to perform a function form an organ. So we have individual leaf tissue. So like this is one leaf tissue, this is one leaf tissue, this one leaf tissue, one leaf tissue. So all of these leaf tissues come together to form one whole leaf organ. Okay, so the different types of leaf tissue form a leaf. The leaf is an organ where food substances are formed. So what kind of tissues do you have? Right, the greener parts, these are the leaf tissue, but these lines that you see, these are known as the vascular tissue, which consists of your xylem and phloem, which helps to bring food and water as well as mineral salts to the leaves. Okay, so from the organ, we then form a organ system. Now in plants, it's a bit simpler compared to animals. In plants, there's only two systems, the root system and the shoot system. So the root system means that the roots take in water and dissolve mineral salts from the soil into the plant. Okay, so this system is closely tied to the thing called the xylem. Okay, so the xylem transports, this is some extra knowledge which you might need in Sec 2. Okay, and then the shoot system. So the shoot system transports water to the leaf where it is required for photosynthesis. And the leaves, stem, and roots are organs that form the transport system of the plant. Okay, so we have listened to an example of, this here is the example. Okay, so the shoot system, this is the shoot system, right, which includes the leaves, the upper parts, the branches, right, all this top part is the shoot system. And the bottom, everything that is below ground, that is called the root system. So when we have all the organ system working together to enable the organism, okay, we get organism that is able to function properly. So it's called the plant organism, and the roots and the shoot system work together to help the plant grow and function properly. Okay, and with that, we come to 6.4 called division of labor. So at the end of this section, you should be able to answer the following questions. Why is division of labor important for an organism? Okay, lesson trigger. For example, the bones of the upper arm is fractured. So you cannot conduct vigorous activity, right? I think some of us have experienced this before. Or if the muscle was pulled, then the person cannot move his arm easily also. So the bones and the muscle work together to move the parts of our body, right? If our bone is broken, we cannot move. If our muscle is pulled, we also cannot move easily. So that means that they are working together. The bones provide support for the body, while the muscle allows us to move the bones. So this is called the division of labor. The bones do something and the muscles do something. Okay, so as I said, the previous example shows a division of labor that is needed in order to carry out movement. And this is important as it allows various functions to be carried out efficiently. It also ensures that these functions are performed at the same time. So this is the definition here. Put a star, highlight this. The textbook page is here, page 118. So division of labor is the breakdown of work into small and specific tasks for maximum efficiency. Okay, just like in any office or any country, there's a division of labor, right? For example, the policemen, they're in charge of enforcement, the firemen, they're in charge of putting out the fires, and teachers, they're in charge of teaching, right? It'll be a bit strange if you ask a teacher to go and put out the fire. I mean, maybe he can do it, but it's not as efficient as compared to the expert in it. Okay, so this is called the division of labor. Right, just example is a division of work in the factory. Okay, so each part of a cell has a different function, and let's take a look at the division of labor in a plant cell. So we have the cell membrane. So the function of the cell membrane is to control the movement of substances that can enter in or leave the cell. So remember that the cell membrane is partially permeable. Let me write that out for you. Partially permeable, which means that it only allows small substances to pass. Okay, we need water. The water that is needed by the plant for photosynthesis can pass through the cell membrane because water is a very small molecule, right? Just like when we were doing our filter paper in the previous chapter, right? Water can pass through the filter paper, whereas other large things are not able to pass through the filter paper. So similar concept. Okay, then the organelle called the chloroplast enables the plant cell to make its own food, and water is also needed to make food that is used for the growth and survival of the plant. So we have two different parts of the cell, right? We have the cell membrane, it has one function, and we have the chloroplast, which has a second function. So this is called the division of labor. We cannot expect every single thing to do every single other thing, right? That'll be just not possible. Okay, so division of labor is also carried out in multicellular organisms as a whole, right? In a larger picture. So work is divided amongst the different types of cells, the different tissues, and the different organs. For example, different organs in a body can play important roles to ensure that our muscle cells obtain sufficient oxygen and energy, right? For example, during a game of badminton. So the lungs in our respiratory system allow us to take in oxygen needed to release energy from the food we eat. Okay, this is a process that is known as respiration. Okay, which means that our body uses oxygen to release energy from the food. Okay, not to worry about it now. We'll definitely learn this in the future about respiration. But for now, let us just appreciate the fact that our lungs can take in oxygen so that we can obtain energy from the food. Okay. Then the heart in our circulatory system pumps blood around the body. The red blood cells in blood transport oxygen to all parts of the body. So this is our circulatory system. And then the muscle tissue in our muscular system uses the released energy to contract and relax so that we can move about. So this is called division of labor, right? We have the muscle tissues, we have the lung tissues, as well as our heart tissues. So all of them are working together but in different ways so that we can perform our basic body necessities. Can you give any other examples where there is a division of labor? Think about it. Okay, I'm sure that if you think hard enough, you can give plenty of examples. Okay, let us summarize this chapter. Okay, this chapter is about cells. And cells are the basic units of life. Okay, this is the default definition of cells, the basic units of life. And cells are found in all organisms, which can be either unicellular, one cell, or multicellular, many cells. So unicellular examples are paramecium and bacteria. Paramecium is a kind of algae. Then we can find multicellular organisms such as plants and animals. So as humans, we are also animals. And okay, so plants and animals, right? They have cells that are made up of nucleus, cytoplasm, vacuoles, and cell membrane. So each of these different organelles, right? Each of them are different organelles of the cell have a specific function, right? The nucleus is to control cell division. It's like the headquarters of the cell. It has the hereditary information of the cell. Then the cytoplasm, this is where most of the chemical reactions in the cell take place. The vacuole, this is temporary storage for nutrients, minerals, water, salt. These are stored in the vacuoles. And we have the cell membrane. The cell membrane is meant to control the movement of certain substances in and out of the cell. However, the plants have three differences compared to animals. Firstly, the plants have chloroplasts. The purpose of chloroplast is that it's an organelle which contains the pigment called chlorophyll, which can do photosynthesis. Plants also have a cell wall, which is meant to support the plant cell and to keep it rigid. Okay, it also helps to protect the plant cell. And one last thing is that the plants also have a large central vacuole, which is able to store cell sap. Okay, so this is the difference between plant cells and animal cells. Okay, let's also talk about tissues. So when we have a similar type of cell and we have similar types of cells, they group together to form tissues, which then form organs, which then form organ systems, which lastly make up a multicellular organism. So cells are also specialized for division of labor. There are different types of cells, right? For example, you have muscle cells, you have nerve cells, you have blood cells. These are all different cells that are able to divide labor properly. Okay, so okay, if you want to, you can find out more, can do some research online. How are cancer cells different from normal cells? Okay, the basic idea is that cancer cells are dividing uncontrollably. Okay, so yeah, normal cells will grow and divide to replace the old worn-out cells. However, cancer cells will grow uncontrollably and very quickly. So that's why we call it like a tumor because it's growing too quickly. And this is because the DNA, remember the DNA is found inside the nucleus, right? And if it gets damaged, then mutations can affect the normal cell growth and division. Okay, and then the lifespan of these cells are too long compared to normal cells, and they don't die. They basically become like vampires like that, draining our energy. Okay, so they accumulate over time and they form a mass of tissue called tumor. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of the chapter. Hope that you have learned a lot. Feel free to watch the videos again until you have a good understanding of the chapter. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.